We know the real history of ocarinas, from over 10,000 years ago in Mesoamerica, to Giuseppe Donati inventing the modern ocarina in 1853, to Takashi Akutagawa inventing the 12-hole ocarina in 1928 in Japan, to Sojiro and other Japanese ocarinists popularizing the instrument in the 1980s, which led to the ocarina being featured in the likes of Ocarina of Time in the 90s, and as recently as Animal Crossing New Horizons in 2020. But can AI get this story right? We've seen the rise of AI-powered creative tools, and we've seen their flaws. Can AI give us the correct history of ocarinas if asked? And before we begin, make sure you subscribed. It's free. If you like the content, you get more of it, and it helps me out a great deal. Back to the video. All right. Today, we're going to use ChatGPT and another AI tool called Copy.ai to see if they can get the history of ocarinas correct. We'll try multiple rounds with various levels of intervention from me. We'll start with minimal intervention, one step of intervention on a long-term post, and then breaking the history down into sections, giving ChatGPT a new prompt each time, seeing if, in total, it can get the correct history of ocarinas. Let's get started. All right, we've asked ChatGPT, what is the history of ocarinas? Let's see how this pans out. The ocarina is a wind instrument that has a long and rich history. It is believed to have originated in ancient China, where it was called a zun. The zun was made of clay and had a simple egg-like shape with a hole for the mouth and several smaller holes for the fingers. The instrument was likely used for ceremonial or religious purposes. Okay. Over time, the ocarina spread to other parts of the world and it took on a variety of different shapes and sizes. In Europe, the ocarina was popularized in the 19th century by an Italian musician named Giuseppe Donati, who invented the sweet potato ocarina, which is shaped like a sweet potato and has a warm, mellow tone. Today, ocarinas are played all over the world and are enjoyed by people of all ages. They are used in a wide range of musical genres, from classical to folk to contemporary pop. Ocarinas are also popular as souvenirs and decorative items, and there is a thriving market for collectors of vintage and antique ocarinas. A lot of this is technically correct. Their information about the zun, is it zun? Zun? I don't know how to pronounce it. But in any case, their information about the Chinese instrument is correct as far as I know. But the zun and the ocarina are different instruments. This is completely leaving out a far more accurate origin of ocarinas would likely be Mesoamerica. Many cultures around the world had ocarina-like instruments, but the name ocarina was not coined until Giuseppe Donati did so. So it's true that Giuseppe Donati popularized the ocarina in the 19th century, and it's true that he invented what is referred to as the sweet potato ocarina, but I think it would be most fair to say that Giuseppe Donati is the inventor of the ocarina, though instruments that produce sound in the same way have existed for 10,000 plus years. And the paragraph about ocarinas being played all over the world as souvenirs, played in like classical music, folk, and pop, none of that's wrong, but it's just so incredibly vague. That said, it's impressive that it kind of put all of this information together, but that's the only thing I'll give it. ChatGPT with no intervention gets a 4 out of 10 in terms of quality and accuracy. It gets a lot of things that are technically right, and it completely leaves out the biggest origin of ocarina and ocarina-like instruments, which would be Mesoamerica. But it did mention the zun, which is pretty impressive. Next, we'll use Copy.ai to write a long-form blog post with significantly more intervention. We'll give it lots of relevant keywords, and will help with a bit of structure as well. But this is only moderate intervention. The blog title is The History of Ocarinas. The keywords include Mesoamerican ocarinas, Chinese zun, Giuseppe Donati, Takashi Akutagawa, Sojiro, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Let's see how this goes. So the sections that it gave us are prehistoric clay ocarinas in China and Mexico. We'll keep that. Modern ocarinas, which I might specify as Giuseppe Donati and modern ocarinas. Contemporary ocarina enthusiasts, which I think I will change to modern popularity of the ocarina. And then ocarinas are ancient instruments that originated centuries ago but have been revived with the help of today's technology. That's not correct, but I want to see what it says for that. I'm curious. We've made our changes to the headings and I have added Akutagawa and the invention of the 12-hole ocarina. Let's see what it gives us next. Generate talking points. All right, so first, they were found in both China and Mexico, made of clay, originally used for rituals, later used for entertainment, similar to the instruments we use today. Nice. Donati's ocarinas were made in the 1920s? No. His ocarinas were made of clay and wood? Probably. His ocarinas were very popular in Europe? I don't know, probably. He was the first to make ocarinas in a variety of colors. I mean, if he was the first to make ocarinas, he was probably the first to make them in a variety of colors. Let's give a little tweak to 1853 in the 1800s. We'll say Donati invented ocarinas in 1853. Modern ocarinas in 1853. We'll add the 1928 detail for Akutagawa's ocarinas as well. He was influenced by the Chinese zun? No. He was inspired by Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time? No, no. They're saying that Akutagawa was inspired by both Sojiro and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I mean, if Link could time travel with his ocarina, then surely Sojiro could too. Oh no. I realized I didn't scroll down far enough for that. My bad. This one about Sojiro is all wrong. Sojiro popularized the ocarina in Asia in the 1980s. Ocarinas made appearances in media such as The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Sojiro is the first person Link meets when he arrives in Hyrule. We're being pretty liberal with the amount of edits that we're doing right here. Copy.ai is not known for its accuracy, but it's a lot more powerful than ChatGPT at generating really long form posts. And I bought a membership for my last job, which I haven't really had a good chance to use, so I'm just milking it. It's not free, but I'm milking what I have. We'll change the last one to Ocarina of Time, popularized the ocarina across the world today. And then for this last point, ocarinas are ancient instruments that originated centuries ago but have been revived with the help of today's technology. We're just gonna see what Copy.ai does with that. I'm intrigued. Ancient instruments, revived with the help of today's technology, modern games and movies, many different sizes and shapes. This might be surprisingly good. Let's generate the content. I'm nervous to read this. Like, my whole thesis about this video will be flawed if AI does a good job. That said, if it does a good job, that will be because I made so many changes. There was a lot of Andy-based intervention in here. Let's read. Ancient instruments used to be the most popular in the world, but they've been replaced by modern technology. Ocarinas are no different. They're actually quite old, dating back to ancient China and Mexico. It was only recently that they were revived thanks to a group of musicians who realized how fun these instruments were. Nowadays, ocarinas are used by artists all over the globe. Even you can play one. Okay, my thesis is not flawed. This makes absolutely no sense in terms of actual history. Copy.ai literally made up an introduction from thin air. Nothing about this is correct, other than the fact that ocarinas do have some origin in both China and Mexico. All right, let's talk prehistoric clay ocarinas in China and Mexico. The earliest known clay ocarinas are from China and Mexico. These were originally used for rituals, but their popularity grew as people discovered that they could be used for religious ceremonies and then turned into instruments of entertainment. A bit superfluous, but I'll take it. The clay ocarinas found in China are similar to the ones we use today. They have a hole on one side which allows air to flow through them when blown into. There is a lip on the opposite side that produces sound when you blow into it. And most importantly, both ends are covered with finger holes, holes where your fingers go. This isn't a very good description, but I think I'll take it, I guess? This doesn't actually go into the history. I think ChatGPT will do a lot better research. All right, what's up with Donati? Giuseppe Donati was the first to make an instrument out of clay and wood. Not true. He created this new type of ocarina in 1853, and it became popular throughout Europe. The reason for this popularity is that it was available in a wide variety of colors. The Donati family has been making ocarinas since 1853 and still does today. Huh? First of all, other instruments have been made out of clay and wood before. Second of all, colors are not the reason why it became popular. Third of all, I have no idea if the Donati family still makes ocarinas. I'm gonna assume no. Will Takashi Akutagawa's history fare any better? The 12-hole ocarina is a relatively new instrument, invented in 1928 by Kamekichi Akutagawa. No, it's by Takashi Akutagawa. And I just googled it. Kamekichi Akutagawa is not a real person. This is made up. He was a student at the Tokyo Music School where he received his diploma in the art of glassblowing. In 1937, he began his career as an independent musician and glassblower. He released his first music book 4 years later. He did go to the Tokyo Academy of Fine Arts, but I think everything else there is made up. We're not even gonna bother reading the rest of the Akutagawa paragraph because I think it's just completely made up. Like, he's not a glassblower. Anyways, let's see if it gets Sojiro right. Sojiro's influence is still felt in the modern world. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which was released in Japan in 1998, has become one of the most iconic video games of all time. It introduced millions to the instrument and brought with it an influx of new players. Today, ocarinas are not just used for musical performances, but also as part of popular culture. You can find them at many conventions or events where they're often propped in cosplay costumes, especially those related to gaming. They can also be purchased cheaply online or at flea markets if you're looking for something unique to add to your collection. Oh my god, it completely ignored Sojiro, but everything in here is technically correct. Whoa. Now let's see what Copy.ai's completely original paragraphs entail. Ocarinas are ancient instruments that originated centuries ago but have been revived with the help of today's technology. Repeats the heading in the first sentence. Even in ancient times, ocarinas were used to play many different kinds of music. They're still being made today and used in modern games and movies like Legend of Zelda, Animal Crossing, and Minecraft. I don't think they're in Minecraft. You can buy ocarinas in many different sizes and shapes. Some have more than one hole on them so they can play different notes at once. I mean, aside from the Minecraft thing, this is all technically correct, I guess. It's not deep. It doesn't give any meaningful information, but you could technically say modern technology is responsible for the revival of the ocarina's popularity. Modern technology, which is gaming, is why people know about the ocarina, which is why people have ocarinas. But that's really pushing it. Time for the conclusion. This will probably also be completely made up. Ocarinas are a unique instrument that has been around since the dawn of time. They have been played by people across the globe, each with their own unique style and culture attached to it. From ancient China and Mexico all the way up until today's technology-driven world, ocarinas have been used as a form of entertainment, but also as a way for cultures to connect with each other through music. Aside from the detail about being around since the dawn of time, I guess 10,000 years ago is the dawn of time for human civilization. Not bad. Even with so much intervention from me in adjusting the prompts, Copy.ai just made up most of the information. Like, I really tried to throw it a bone with how much I intervened. But no, it decided it wanted to tell its own story. And you know, that's kind of beautiful. No, it's not beautiful, it's dumb. It's my fault for using an AI writing tool that's all about sales copy, not necessarily about research and telling a story. But I expected so much better with how much I intervened in the prompts. Like, the only information it really got right in some amount of detail was Legend of Zelda and modern culture. Like, yes, a lot of cosplayers have ocarinas. Even though there was some more specific and more correct information in here, I have to give Copy.ai a 2 out of 10. It literally made up most of what it said. But now let's give ChatGPT a better and more specific shake at the history of ocarinas. We will give specific prompts for each section of history. All right, we are asking, what is the history of ocarinas in Mesoamerica and China? It's not clear when ocarinas first appeared in Mesoamerica, but they have a long history in this region. Ocarinas were likely introduced to Mesoamerica by the Olmec, who lived in the region from 1400 BC to 400 BC. The Olmec were skilled craftsmen and made a variety of musical instruments, including ocarinas, flutes, and drums. In ancient Maya culture, ocarinas were used for a variety of purposes, including religious ceremonies, entertainment, and communication. The Maya made ocarinas from a variety of materials, including clay, bone, and wood. The Mayan ocarina is typically circular in shape and has a number of finger holes, which allow the player to produce a range of pitches. In ancient China, the ocarina, called a zhun, was likely used for ceremonial or religious purposes. It is believed to have originated in the Neolithic period, and it has been found in many ancient Chinese burial sites. The zhun was made of clay and had a simple egg-like shape with a hole for the mouth and several smaller holes for the fingers. It is thought that the zhun was used to communicate with the spirits of the deceased. Let me verify some of that. I think I found where ChatGPT got its information about the Olmec making ocarinas. The oldest known musical instrument originated in the Olmec civilization. The best known instruments were flutes, whistles, and ocarinas of clay. Nice. And I don't know how correct the information about the zhun is, but it says it's mainly for palace music and some other expressions of cultural ideas in China, like how the zhun represents a particular beauty which combines with loneliness, desolate, and elegance, and also represents the idea of harmony. And they do originate back to the Stone Age, so I think the 10,000 year number might be specifically about ocarina-like instruments, including the zhun, so I don't know if it necessarily applies to Mesoamerica. I might have learned something today. But yeah, the ocarina Wikipedia page specifically says the ocarina belongs to a very old family of instruments believed to date back over 12,000 years. And they've been found in Kosovo and Europe, the oldest prehistoric instrument ever found in that country. Nice. But that's enough fact-checking. Explain who Giuseppe Donati is and the invention of the ocarina. Giuseppe Donati was an Italian musician and inventor who is credited with popularizing the ocarina in the 19th century. He was born in the town of Budrio near Bologna in 1835. Donati was a skilled musician and a member of the local musical society, and he became interested in the ocarina after hearing one played at a festival. In 1853, Donati set out to improve upon the existing designs of the ocarina. He experimented with different shapes and sizes and eventually came up with a new design that he called the sweet potato ocarina. The instrument had a shape that was similar to a sweet potato and a warm, mellow tone that was well suited to a wide range of musical styles. Donati's sweet potato ocarina became very popular, and he started a workshop to produce them on a larger scale. He also wrote a method book for the ocarina, which helped to spread the instrument's popularity even further. Donati's ocarinas were widely exported and were played by musicians all over Europe and beyond. Today, the sweet potato ocarina is still considered one of the finest and most popular types of ocarina. Wait, so did Donati see other ocarinas before he invented his own sweet potato design? I need to check. Okay, so once again, we're back on Wikipedia. According to the entry in Ocarinas, Donati transformed the ocarina from a toy, which played only a few notes, into a more comprehensive instrument, known as the first classical ocarina. Okay, so he did invent the modern ocarina, but it's likely that he didn't necessarily coin the term ocarina. History is crazy, but yeah, ChatGPT's all correct here. All right, explain who Takashi Akutagawa is and the invention of the 12-hole ocarina. ChatGPT does not know who he is. At least ChatGPT is being honest that it doesn't know instead of making stuff up like Copy.ai. But it's gotta know Sojiro, right? So who is Nomura Sojiro and how did he popularize the ocarina in Asia? Once again, it doesn't know. Let's just narrow it down to who is Nomura Sojiro. It doesn't know. Let's try who is the musician Sojiro. Now let's try just who is Sojiro. ChatGPT's having a hard time here. Okay, let's try how did ocarinas get popular in the 1980s? ChatGPT doesn't know. Clearly, Sojiro and the popularization of the ocarina in Asia in the 80s is not something ChatGPT can help us with. But at least it's telling us that it doesn't know. Thanks for the humility. Let's see if we can eke out some of the origin with why the ocarina was featured in Legend of Zelda. The ocarina is a central element in the Legend of Zelda series of video games. It's a key item to progress through the game, play songs with powers and abilities, hidden areas of the game. Okay, the use of the ocarina in The Legend of Zelda is likely influenced by the instrument's association with folklore and legend. The ocarina has a sweet, mournful sound that is evocative of ancient myths and stories, and is often used in music that is intended to convey a sense of mystery or adventure. What you're missing is that the ocarina became popular because of Nomura Sojiro and other Japanese ocarinists. The ocarina is also relatively easy to play, which makes it a good choice for a video game that is intended to be accessible to a wide range of players. In the Legend of Zelda series, the ocarina is often used as a tool to help the player solve puzzles and overcome obstacles, which adds to its appeal as a gameplay element. Okay, what's my verdict on a well-coached ChatGPT? With what it did give me, it was by far the best ocarina historian. Even I learned some stuff while verifying its facts. Giuseppe Donati did invent the modern ocarina, but there were ocarinas in Europe before he invented them. But it's more in the sense that he turned it into an actual serious instrument. And I did learn some particular details about ocarinas in Mesoamerica. That said, it gave up. ChatGPT simply gave up with the more niche things. But that said, even I have a really hard time finding information about Takashi Akutagawa as well as Sojiro. More so with Akutagawa. But still, ChatGPT did give by far the best history of ocarinas from this AI showdown. But I'll still only give it a 6.5 out of 10. It gave some really good information, but come on, you should know who Sojiro is, ChatGPT. There's plenty of information about him. So, from worst to best, Copy.ai's made-up BS was by far the worst ocarina history that AI wrote today. With a score of 2 out of 10, ChatGPT's uncoached segment was pretty good. However, it was incredibly vague and had some semantics that I don't necessarily like. Like, I still would call Giuseppe Donati the inventor of the modern ocarina, but they still say he invented the sweet potato, which is what he contributed. This had a 4 out of 10 in my books. In first place, with 6.5 out of 10, we have the highly coached ChatGPT, where I asked for specific segments of history, starting with Mesoamerica and China, then Giuseppe Donati, both of which had really good information. It did struggle with Takashi Akutagawa as well as Sojiro, but that's kind of understandable considering that there's very little information on Google about Akutagawa, so I wouldn't necessarily dock any points on the Akutagawa side, but I am docking those 3.5 points because it didn't know Sojiro. There's plenty of information about him online, but it's okay, you still got first place. I have some more thoughts. AI can be a really useful tool, but it's very much still in development. Just like how AI art is full of strange artifacts like really messed up hands, there were also many strange artifacts in this AI writing. Thus, with AI, you really cannot guarantee accuracy. Furthermore, AI may write original sentences, but it does not generate original ideas. Copy.ai did make things up, but it was stringing together a lot of concepts that already were in its database. AI can be a great tool for creative work, but at the end of the day, creativity is still only in the minds of people. I wouldn't trust AI with anything that's really niche that isn't really like well baked into the internet or its search terms or its database. Like the history of ocarinas, it is incredibly niche. So the AI probably couldn't find that much useful information to generate its responses. If you want an extremely nuanced take on AI, I'd really recommend watching Totally Not Mark's video comparing AI artists to actual artists when drawing Dragon Ball. His video is very pro-human artist, out, and still contains a really good discussion about the pros and cons of AI in society now. That said, as long as you're applying AI ethically, not stealing art or anything like that, it can still be a very, very useful tool. And in conclusion, clearly AI is not ready for the Ocarina. ChatGPT is a great tool for answering very many questions, but answers about the Ocarina leave a lot to be desired. And Copy.ai literally gave us factually incorrect information. So you might say that the Ocarina is indeed greater than AI. And if you want a more data-centric approach on the history of ocarinas, I go through Google Trends as well as the Google Ngram to delve through the history of ocarinas through data to explain why they are so obscure and how we can help popularize the instrument together. Otherwise, thanks for watching, leave a like, subscribe for more, watch that video next, and I'll see you next time. Happy tootin'!